Hey everyone, it's Norm Farrar, aka the Beard Guy here, and welcome to another Lunch with Norm, the e-commerce and Amazon FBA podcast. Today, we're going to be discussing something. I don't know what. I think it's going to be AI, but I've got two great guests, and I know you guys love them because each time they come on, they are huge. They provide huge downloads for the podcast. So why don't we just go over to the intro and then we'll come back with the guys.
Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm. Lunch with Norm.
Okay, well, today we're going to be discussing about AI. We're going to just go down a bunch of different rabbit holes. And this is going to be one of the pre-records while Kelsey and myself are in at the BDSS in Hawaii next week. Okay, so you're probably very familiar with our first guest. He was just on last week, and that is Chris Rawlings, and he's the CEO of Sophie Society. Now, we've reached out to another buddy, and this guy, I think everybody knows too, Andrew Erickson. He was awesome in our AI summit we had just a couple of weeks ago. He's been on the podcast a few times as well, and he's representing the Titan Network. So we'll get into both of those in a second, but let's have a word from our sponsor, then we'll come right back. So first of all, let's talk about Seller Basics. Hey, Amazon sellers, ever faced with account suspensions, ASIN hiccups, or IP headaches? Introducing Seller Basics, your Amazon account's guardian. With just $99 a month or enter code NORM, you'll pay $89 a month. Seller Basics offers a dedicated team to shield your business from these challenges. Plus, this membership offers free legal consultations from seasoned e-commerce attorneys. And there's no long-term contracts, and you can cancel with just a month's notice. You can also view Seller Basics as your Amazon account's health plan, and you can check them out at sellerbasics.com. Now for the disclaimers. Seller Basics is not an insurer or law firm. Consultations come from independent firms. Results may vary. Membership is needed before events leading to claims, and terms apply. Now let's get back to the podcast. Kelsey, are you available to come on? No, Dad, I'm not. Okay, so I guess the boy Blunder is not able to come on with us right now. His camera's not working. Well, I guess let's just get into it. No, before we get into it, I want to just mention a couple of things. First of all, you gotta check out Marketing Misfits. We should have our 4th episode up there, and it's all about people who didn't do things through proper channels. They went against the norm and have succeeded. So check it out. It's Kevin King and I. We have a new podcast. It's Marketing Misfits. It's available on all podcast platforms, and we have a YouTube channel, Marketing Misfits Podcast. Also, if you haven't signed up, check out our newsletter, and we have a lot of fun with that. All sorts of personal stories, but also a ton of information around the e-commerce industry. Now we can bring in Andrew and Chris. Hey guys.
What's up?
Norm, good to see you.
Talk about winging it.
Yeah, fully.
So in case if you're listening right now, you probably don't know what's going on, but Chris was just finished recording, just finished a few minutes ago. And I said, hey, do you know anybody who do a pre-record for next week? And we'd have to do it probably tomorrow. He goes, yeah, I could reach out to Andrew. Andrew comes back and says, yeah, I can do it right now. So we're just gonna talk.
Let's rock and roll. I did an outfit change just so it looks a little different.
Oh, okay. Yeah, me too.
Took my hair down,
All right, guys.
I have a podcast, the Amazon Conversation Podcast, and Chris is my #1 most returning guest. So Chris and I have good riff chemistry. I think it'll be fantastic.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think probably the topic, the hottest topic is this new update. But I also think, Andrew, you blew everybody away in that AI summit with just some of the custom GPTs that you were talking about. And I like to go down that path because I think a lot of people aren't aware of how to do it. And they're still not aware really what it is. So I've talked to a lot of people that like they blow it off and they don't really know.
It's really interesting. I feel like it's kind of a sleeper little hack, little tactic. So in the end of last year, so it's Q4 last year of 2023, they ChatGPT or OpenAI, they released this custom GPT feature. And I found this to be extremely valuable. There's been a lot of I've created over a dozen of these things now that I use regularly. Well, I've created a couple dozen, but there's a dozen that I use regularly. And it's really cool. And I've just been sharing these custom GPTs that I created and also showing people how they can make their own too. And it's crazy. It's one thing one of my favorite things to cite is that the number one programming language of the 1990s was C++. In the early 2000s, it was Java, and in 2023 and 2024, the number one programming language you can program in is English. Like
Crazy.
English speaking human that's the number one programming language we can program in, and these custom GPTs use that.
I've got some of Andrew's custom GPTs on my at the top of my list here. I got the comment hug bot. I got the Listify. I got Andrew, you said like over a dozen of them so far, right?
Love it. Yeah, definitely. Chris, I'm curious, the hug bot. I call it a comment hug. What we like to do is, I'll explain the strategy. Maybe you want to try demoing it, Chris?
Oh, I could. Yeah. Hang on. Look, while you're explaining it, I'll pull it up.
Okay, perfect. So we do this thing on social media, right? The thing is that all these things require strategies. Tools are just what underpins strategy, right? Or underpins a tactic, which underpins strategy. So we all want to know strategies. That's the most important thing. But the tools can help us execute and create those strategies and streamline them and make them consistent, right? So the strategy here, we want to target some influencers who we really like. They have a good following. They align with our brand. They just have good content. We want to target them and get them to know, like, and trust us. And the first thing we have to do is get them to know us and to like us. And one way we do that is we have the strategy called a comment hug. So we pick that person, and over the course of a week, we'll go and comment on their content on maybe 10, 20 pieces of content that they've created. And we do that. The influencer likes it because comments give them extra engagement. Like more comments gives you more rank juice, more algorithm. It pleases the bots, the algorithm. And they'll comment back and that kind of stuff. And plus we're saying meaningful things. So I thought, how can we do this systematically? How can we really crank it up? Well, I have a virtual assistant who is great, but she's not necessarily able to talk in her own voice, our brand's voice. So I created this bot, this custom GPT that can create a comment for you. And so you have it ready, Chris?
In the brand's voice.
Yeah.
In the brand's voice, yeah.
Yeah. So there are a couple ways to use it, right, Andrew? But one of them is you can upload a screenshot of a visual post, and then you have it produce like a series of comments. And we actually did this live when you demoed it in February at the Titan event. And I think you got a whole room full of people to generate comments on one of the Titans posts, which was awesome. A really good kind of like inception way to further promote, the actual event that we were already at using the event itself. So it's probably better if I screen share this, or maybe I could just show it being used on my phone. I don't know if you guys can see it enough.
Yep.
Here, just a sec.
Here. Yeah.
Right.
So I can upload a screenshot and say, I'm just going to use like a dog food brand as an example of this. Andrew and I have riffed on this hypothetical brand that we created that we actually talked about doing actually following all the way through. But so it's kind of like a pets brand is kind of like our example, right? So I'm going to upload a screenshot of a post by an influencer that talks about dog stuff, because this is my brand. I want to get more exposure to my brand. So I just upload the screenshot here. I click upload, and then now it's thinking, and boom, it's coming up with a bunch of really engaging comments just from me uploading that screenshot. And then, like Andrew said, now you don't have to have somebody who's kind of an expert in the space. You can have like very low cost labor, like a $4 an hour VA, use this tool to make comments in mass.
Good quality comments,
exposure, right? Good quality comments. Yeah, that's right. That are, good English, they're witty, they're informative. So I uploaded this screenshot of this influencer who was making a post about 10 dog foods never to feed your dog, right? And so some of the comments I just got back, here you can see, can't wait to see the next list, making a note for my next shopping trip. Really curious about your picks, especially for sensitive pups, right? So it's like really like custom. Would love some healthy alternatives if you have some recommendations. So it's even prompting the response to the response. So somebody could use this, a low cost labor could use this tool to make a bunch of comments on like hundreds of posts, getting you basically free visibility.
That's great. Now, going back to Andrew, just a sec, I'll see if I can do this. Kelsey, go back to the regular screen. There we go. I was trying to do it on Kelsey's behalf, but I screwed up. So, Andrew, I'm curious, how hard was it for you to set something like that up?
Well, we came, so there, good question. If you know exactly what you're trying to do and you have all the data ready to go and you know the strategy you're trying to implement, something like that would take less than an hour to do. I mean, maybe even if you get good at it, we're talking 20 minutes, maybe kind of going back and forth, honing in, twisting it, and changing it. So it's for the first draft, right? And so this is something that could be done during a lunch break, during a lunch with Norm break, right?
So I know that you're an engineer, so you've got the mind to do some pretty interesting things. For a guy like a 60-plus-year-old guy who likes coloring rainbows, how hard would it be for me to do something like that? If I said I wanted to go in, and I know how to go in to create a custom GPT, but using English with my color in the lines mind, how hard would it be?
The GPTs are really easy to set up. You talk to it just like you would talk to any person. So you can think of this as a really kind and not a weird engineer that you're talking to, right? Maybe
I never said you were weird.
Yeah.
well, he's a little weird.
Well, I'm a little weird, yeah, but I'm a lot of weird once you get to know me. But on the surface, I'm a little weird. So sometimes you talk to engineers and they're very it's hard to talk to them, right? Well, imagine you're talking to a project a manager, a person who's customer facing, and you're just talking to them like, hey, I'd love an app that can do this. I'd like to write copy like listing copy like this. I'd like the bullet points to be like this. I'd like the maybe more benefit led rather than feature led, or I want to talk more about this feature instead of that feature, and just kind of go back and forth and have a conversation with them, right? That's what it's like programming these custom GPTs. You're just having a conversation. And there's actually this platform where you have the conversation and then it creates the app as you're talking. I mean, it takes, 3 seconds after you say something or type something, it creates it, you test it, and you go, oh, actually, I don't like the way it did that. Can you do it like this instead? And it's just it's legitimately like having a conversation with an instant programmer that just does it for you. Again, number one programming language of 2024 is English.
And that's great. I think you could probably, like a prompt, but garbage in, garbage out. If you don't refine and if you don't drill down, you'll never get what you want.
Yeah, good point. And there are some That's a great point. And there are also some limits of the system. So I didn't share this because it's a little bit in the weeds. Do you know why, Chris? Do you know why we have to do a screenshot of the TikTok video?
No,
Why
I
not
don't.
just paste a link in there?
Oh yeah, because it won't interpret it live, the link.
It doesn't. TikTok doesn't want OpenAI to oh, I got a little thumbs up there. TikTok doesn't want OpenAI to scrape it. So they have a little thing saying, don't scrape me. There's actually ways to get around it. And I was trying to hack it to get around it, but I couldn't get it to be consistent. So I found that just taking a screenshot, it's actually better.
Plenty.
It can see the description. It can see the picture. It can see everything. It just doesn't have context of what the link is. And therefore it doesn't know it's TikTok. And so it's okay to scrape it.
I wonder if Perplexity can get around that.
That's a
I think it can.
That's a good engineer question.
I think it can.
I'm going to take a note. Maybe we'll come back and see if we can.
We should try that out.
Now, I know Perplexity. We were just on podcast. Tony Cigar asked the question about Perplexity Pro, or said he was using it, and he found that it is, and I mean, it's very short, like 24, 48 hours since the update had launched, but he still said that Perplexity Pro was outperforming this 4.0. So I don't have Pro, I just use Perplexity, but I know you can go to URLs and it analyzes URLs. But I don't think I've ever done it with TikTok.
Oh, I love it. Interesting. Yeah, TikTok has websites have like a little like metadata that says, please don't scrape me. But it's just like, you just politely ask, and sometimes the apps will do it, but apps can also ignore it too.
All right. So, and Chris, what about you with your custom GPTs? What anything that you like, or are you just absorbing all of Andrew's?
I'm just absorbing all Andrew's right now. Yeah. I just use whatever Andrew releases. That's my philosophy on it.
Here's something else about, and it could be any LLM, but what are you doing? What's productivity wise? What's your maybe a tip or two on productivity? What you're doing right now?
I mean, for me, like, this is why I'm so excited about 4.0, the memory capacity of it, because I have like multiple chats that I go back to that have the context of that chat, so I can continue to talk about it. An example would be if I'm doing product development, like in the demo that Andrew and I did last year, I could give it all the context, about what I want this product to be able to achieve, the target audience that it's going after, the avatar, my limitations when it comes to sourcing, my pricing targets and stuff like that. And then as I'm going through the product development process over days or weeks, I continue to add to that chat, and it remembers, what was in that chat, but it doesn't have the context from my other chats. I might have another chat where it's more of a brainstorming chat where I'm talking through my team structure at my company and my org structure and who I should hire next and stuff like that, just to come up with ideas and thoughts. Those two chats have no context of one another. But with GPT 4.0, one of the coolest updates is that it has memory throughout all the chats. So it's just learning about you. The more you interact with it, the more context it has to be better at giving you a valuable response in the future. So I'm really excited about that. And this is what we were talking about in the last chat we had, Norm, where, like, my dad's always told me this ever since I was a kid, that like, when you grow up, you're going to have an AI assistant that knows more about you than your wife or your best friends or me or your mom or your brother or anybody. It's going to know you better than any one person possibly could. And this is like the first time that there's been an update where I felt like, oh, wow, dad's about to be right. Dad's about to be right when like every question I have from in business to every, problem I'm trying to solve in my life or insecurity that I have that I'm trying to get over, I'm going to be chatting back and forth with what might give me the most valuable insight relating to that challenge. It's going to have all the context for all the different domains of business, life, health, to be able to give me the most valuable answer that someone like a therapist who talks to me for like an hour every other week or something could never have, right? So that's one of the things I think it's going to be like paradigm shifting for humanity. And it's
Dude,
going to be really interesting over the next couple of months.
Dude, that's really good observation there. And I feel like companies like Google and Facebook have that data, but I feel like they use it against us sometimes.
Yeah, right.
Like,
yeah.
I know everything about you. I know what's inside your psyche, and therefore I'm going to drive ads to your psyche.
Yeah, make you buy stuff. Yeah,
and
exactly.
now
Get your
and
money.
Now maybe I'm being a little too optimistic, but I feel like these AI bots, we have a little bit more control over them, and I can like ask nice questions, like you said, a little bit more therapy or help me with my family or whatever, rather than Facebook trying to drill in to sell ads to my brain, my lizard brain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I have friends that don't want to open up to ChatGPT and they don't want their data to be accessible, but it's going to be just like, other tools that became a normal part of our daily routine, is that if you want to get the best solution to your problem, it's going to be end up being inevitable for you to use the best tool available for that, especially one that's a quantum leap like an AI bot like this. So people are going to end up foregoing their privacy concerns for the sheer usefulness of it, just like we have with every other technological improvement in the last couple decades.
Yeah,
my daughter, who's she just turned 4, so
I know her.
Yeah. So okay, quick fun anecdotal story, and I'll get to the AI story that's relevant.
We
to my
love
daughter.
those.
Norm came to San Diego to our San Diego event back in October, about 6-8 months ago, whatever it was. And he came over to my house afterwards, and he has this big beard, and my daughter is 3.5, so she's very what do you call it, impressionable, I guess. And she was napping, and my wife says, "Norm, you kind of look like Santa Claus." And I'm like, "Oh my God, Norm, can you lean into this and yes and me when my daughter wakes up?" He's like, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." So I got the Santa hat, and Norm sat down, and my daughter woke up from her nap, and there was legit Santa with legit Santa beard right there.
Off duty.
Yeah.
Off
duty Santa.
Off duty Santa. He's chilling.
And it just absolutely made her week meeting Santa in my living room.
It was pretty funny because playing shy for a little while and then getting a little bit more, oh, okay, this could be Santa. So talking a bit back and forth. And then when I get up to leave, just all of a sudden you see this little girl charging over and grabbing onto my leg and giving me a huge hug. It was hilarious.
Norm, what's up with you, man? You got so many alter egos. Last episode, we were talking about how you were a UFC fighter or a WWE fighter.
WWE.
Now you got the Santa avatar going on. You just got so many different personas.
Yeah. But it is a lot of fun when I have that. I went to a mall close by, and I'm just walking. I was coming back from the Apple store, and all of a sudden, like 100 feet away, maybe, I hear this kid, Santa! He comes running over to me. So, I'm just, so all of a sudden Santa kicks in, go down on my knees to talk to the kid. And it's funny.
I love it. My same daughter, she asked me when we do story time at night before bed, she asked me, "Daddy, can I ask your phone for a story?" And what are we doing?
Wow.
Where I prompt ChatGPT to tell her a story. She says the subject that she wants to hear about, and usually it's little kid things, like she wants to hear about a kid who went in as she calls it, a hospital car, an ambulance.
Yeah.
She had broken her arm a few months ago, and she asked for a story about an ambulance, and she prompts the AI, right? She prompts it, and then I, at the very end, I add in a little context, and I'll say, make it a story for a 3-year-old and make it short, right? to give it a little context, and then it tells this amazing story, and it's a story that
Jeez.
she helped create. And then I'll even say, create us an image for that story, and she absolutely loves it. So she's participating in our, and it's collaborative, right? I mean,
Yep.
she's creating the prompt really for the story, and then hearing the story, and she absolutely loves it.
That's
Actually,
wow.
a lot of the listeners probably don't know this, but let me just share my screen for a second here.
Yep.
Andrew actually used early versions of ChatGPT. I'm sure this can be done again now. It might be even better. And Midjourney to create an entire children's book, and it's actually live on Amazon. It's called Pangea Picnic,
Huh.
and yeah, so you can actually buy that. I have
Kelsey,
a
can you
physical
add that?
copy of this. Yeah, it's really cool. 5 stars, 5.0 stars. I think I'm actually one of these ratings. So
Hey,
yeah, anybody that has kids, they want to mess around with AI. This whole book was created with AI. The images in it, all the text in it, right, Andrew?
yeah, that was all. It's all print on demand with KDP, Kindle Direct Printing, or whatever it is,
Yep.
whatever it's called. Yeah, it's fun. Again, same daughter, loves dinosaurs, having issues with vegetables. So I made a book that's dinosaurs made of vegetables, and it's a fun little story.
Oh, that's cool. I got to talk to you later, Andrew, about something that I'm doing. It's a fictional story, and I'm having some snags, so I might hit you up a little bit later, maybe after BDSS, because I'm still getting a little bit of hallucination, no matter what I do. But I want to talk to Chris for a second. I use this app that helps organize my folders within ChatGPT. Okay. I mean, I've got so many different chats going on, and I don't know if it's out yet, but ChatGPT is supposed to be incorporating a search. I don't know if they've done that yet.
Oh
But
yeah, and browse.
What's that?
And browse. There's going to be better browsing capabilities through all your
Oh,
previous
yeah, great. So I just use an app right
Yeah.
now for that.
Mhm.
But you're talking about memory. So
Yeah.
the problem I have with that is I am writing, or I'm doing things with probably 20 different personas,
Yeah, exactly.
So what I've done is I've created anything for like just like Bob, right? That'll go into folder Bob. And then every chat that I have will be Bob space. And I'm not sure, because I haven't experimented enough with this new update, but I want it. When I'm writing about Bob, I don't want it to write around about Sally
Yeah.
or whoever. So I'm going to test the waters with this, and I'm just going to
Mhm.
probably put in a prompt to use all Bob's information. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's going to be, if you're going to be able to use that and have memory for different versions of your persona.
Yeah, it's a really good question, actually, because there might be some times where you don't want it to utilize all the context from all the chats to give you an answer. You want that persona that you've assigned, that you've been
Right.
feeding data to very intentionally. But I'm sure it just comes down to the way that you prompt, though, because if you just tell it, be Bob, answer
Yeah.
as Bob with just the information I've given Bob, you could probably get around it that way.
So and I don't know about both of you, but we spend a lot of time now building out personas like we've never done before, just for brand, And so when we put it in there, we use a method from Scott Cunningham for any of the posts that we do, any articles, anything for marketing. It's a marketing strategy. It's called TBIF. And you're just taking this information, and every post that you're writing is going through this formula, and it uses the persona and just takes TBIF, which is transaction, brand, influence, and function, and it comes up with multiple options for you to use, but it's a winning combination. So Scott Cunningham came up with this thing. It starts with a hook, though, and then everything else goes TBIF. It could be in any order. I don't know if you know Scott, but he's an interesting guy. And
Oh yeah, Smart Scout.
What's that?
It's Smart Scout, right?
No. He's Merchant Mastery.
Oh, okay. I'm just confusing my Scots.
Yeah, he was #1 agency by Digital Marketer last year or the year before. But
Nice.
really smart guy. I can get you guys introduced to him. Really, really smart when it comes to this and with AI. So Andrew, Mark DeGrasse, who was president of Digital Marketer, was on our AI summit the other day. So he's a pretty interesting guy as well.
Love it. That's very cool. I wonder, Norm, I was thinking about that. I wonder if a custom GPT might be what you need for, maybe you have custom, you have the Bob GPT, because you can make custom GPTs that are private. That's how majority of mine are private, because I have like my brand voice is trained in there, and I'm not trying to share that. So I share, some of them are, you can make them private, meaning only your account can access. You can make them unlisted, meaning that you have to have the direct link to access it. You can't search for it, or you can make it public.
Very good.
So I have some that are unlisted, so that I can share it with my team.
Yeah.
Norm, you're gonna have to be careful, man, because these personas, you might start falling in love with them with the new update. I don't know if you guys have seen a lot of these demos. Andrew sent one over that, like we were talking about in our last chat. It's reminding a lot of people of the movie Her, where it's a plot about a guy who basically falls in love with his operating system. There was a post that our friend who's also in the AI chat that the three of us are in together, Max Sinclair, who he actually runs an AI company. Yeah. Let me just share my screen for a second so you guys can see. We'll just play 1 minute of this clip. Max shared a clip that was posted by The Daily Show that the headline was, well, I'll just show you guys and see if, actually, I got to share sound. So give me a second here. Let me reshare so I can share the sound. You can,
while you're catching that, I can, if you guys want, I have an AI group that is for FBA, where we focus on e-commerce people. So very much your kind of audience, Norm. It's a WhatsApp group. So if you want, there's the
my phone's off because we were having a emergency broadcast. Can you send that to me?
Yeah. So for those watching the video, I have a QR code here on the screen, and I will send a link also. Maybe Chelsea can help get that in the notes.
Okay, very good.
Yeah. So check this out. This is the headline. Just look at what OpenAI's new horny ChatGPT is doing. And it's funny because when you listen to the voice, we'll just play this clip. Can you guys hear it?
Version of ChatGPT called Omni that can see and talk with you in a human way. And by human, I mean friendly, very friendly.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey there. It's going great. How about you? I see you're in an OpenAI hoodie. Nice choice.
We're doing a presentation showcasing how useful and amazing you are.
Oh, stop it. You're making me blush.
I wrote one last thing. I'd love if you could take a look at.
Of course. I'd love to see what you wrote. Show it to me whenever you're ready. I see. I love ChatGPT. That's so sweet of you.
What if I were to say that you're related to the announcement?
Me? The announcement about me? Well, color me intrigued. You've got me on the edge of my, well, I don't really have a seat, but you get the idea.
Well, I had a seat, but it got so wet that I had to stand. This is clearly programmed to feed dudes.
So yeah, we're gonna have to be careful here before we fall in love with our quote unquote Bob's personas that we create.
Oh, dude, wow. I don't know. I all this. So I'm a huge optimist, right? So I think these technologies are fantastic and they're going to change our lives for the better 80% of the time. But yeah, there's some major things we have to look out for. I mean, scams, the voice cloning, and I cloned Norm's voice, by the way, and had
that was awesome.
So voice cloning, and then having that kind of girlfriend mentality. I can imagine those, not the Nigerian prince, but the Spanish girlfriend or the kind of asking for money from lonely dudes is gonna be even worse soon.
Oh man, I can't even
I
imagine.
just, I still, the scam that uses the grandkid's voice.
Yeah.
And there's so many elderly people who
Oh, yeah.
have
It's a
no
common one.
clue. Yeah. And just this weekend, we're sitting down and Kelsey got hacked. Like, he's watching it real time and is like, holy crap, my bank account, I'm being charged for all this stuff. So yesterday I was watching some civil rights thing, and the guy came up. His sponsor is this thing called Kels. I don't know if you can talk or put it in the private chat, but I told him about it. Incogno, something like that. Incogno.com, where anytime your information at any level gets requested, or a data, any form of data goes across the internet, it deletes it unless you give it permission.
Mm.
So and it's very inexpensive. I think, I don't know if
Incogni.
Incogni, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's it's literally on my list to sign up for it, but I think it's only like $40 a year or something like that.
It's $5 a month.
That's actually, there's going to be a whole host of little sub niche industries that didn't exist before that this is going to prompt. And talking about, the flip side of everyone's fear that this is going to take my job is what kind of opportunities are going to open up. This is one of many domains, for entrepreneurs out there. There's going to be a huge need for protection from possible misuse of these kinds of tools. And that's only one of a bunch of opportunities that are going to open up from this.
One thing that's a good practice for this kind of security is having a code word with your loved ones. So having something that you have to say in the sentence to verify who you are
in an emergency.
Yeah, an emergency. Right. Yeah, particularly if you're like transferring money or something.
Yeah.
Right.
Just have to make sure you never type that code word out. So I guess well,
with Kels,
you can only say it in person.
It happened in 2 days. $1,200 were charged to his card, because of the way, and he can't get on right now, but because somebody actually went in, answered his questions.
Wow.
Answered the questions to change the password. He now has to go down to the police station to get a report for them to give him the new card. So So anyways, the other thing that I want to talk about, because we just touched on it, and this is so bloody important, is not McAfee, but real, true cyber security. So you might have security, or you might have something around your website, but protecting your computers, you have to have a whole different form of encryption. And the type of encryption that you need is not a McAfee. It's not a Norton. It's nothing like that. You really have to get it next stage up, next level up. And we use a company, it's called Transmosis, and it's a little pricey, but it protects you. It's $100 a month. Now I forget the other name of the company that has this type of military grade protection, but it's your insurance. If you don't insure, the way that AI is getting more and more and more sophisticated, we have to protect ourselves from these sort of things that are happening. And I don't know, Andrew or Chris, if you have any insight on that, but that part is scary.
So we got scammed so luckily it was not nearly as bad as it could have been. But we about a year ago, we overpaid an invoice. It's my fault. I overpaid it because the factory sent the whole payment purchase order balance. Yep. So I paid the whole purchase order balance. Well, we'd already paid a deposit. I think most of you guys pay like a 30% down. Well, I paid the full balance, including the deposit which you already paid. So they said, "Oh, hey, you overpaid by about $7,000." And we said, "Okay, well, just just send it back to us, right? Just wire it back. And they said, okay, well, give us the bank account information. I said, okay, here's the bank account information. And then they said, okay, we've sent it. I said, okay, thanks. And then, it takes like 3 days, especially this is coming from Vietnam. So there was some weird, like it kind of takes a while. And there's like the communication barrier and the time zone difference and blah, blah, blah. And so like 3 days go by, we don't see it. Then we wait till like another day, we don't see it. And on the 5th day, we said, hey, where is it? And they didn't respond to us. And we're like, hey, what's going on? And then no response. And we wait another like few days for it. And then finally, my sourcing agent called them and said, like, why didn't you do it? And they said, what are you talking about? We've been going back and forth. We've been talking to you guys for 2 weeks. Like, well, the emails aren't coming through. What happened? Somebody had logged into both, somehow got into our accounts, was watching that thread. When they got to the point where they said, let's do the wire transfer, let's do that money, they created new emails for all of us in the thread. There was like 10 people on the thread, right? And the email was just like one letter off. It was like the M's were all substituted with N's, Mary's for Nancy's, right? And so like, if you look at it, it still says Andrew at whatever.com, but whatever was spelled with 2 T's, right? So it's hard to see it with the human eyes, right? And they were going back and forth, just relaying the messages that we had back and forth until they asked for the bank account information. Then they slipped their own stuff in there, and they scammed us out of $7,000, which I thought was kind of ridiculous because we had done a $45,000 transaction with this person just a few months prior. And I'm like, why didn't they take that one? That one's way smarter to take than the 7,000 one, but that's the one they grabbed. So there's a lot of opportunities for scams, unfortunately, nowadays.
Yeah. One, and scams for lawsuits too. But website, the website, just the overall protection of your computer. Then you have your ADA. Got to have that on if you don't have that, I know somebody, usually it's 10 to 50,000 bucks. That's what they're going to go after. And if you don't have the ADA, if you're listening and you don't have an ADA plugin on your website, now you can either pay for it, and that usually has some form of insurance tied to it, or you can get a free one that you can just plug into Shopify. It's not as good, I don't think, but usually we pay $30 a month, $40, and it has ADA compliance for a year. Here's something that just happened. So I'm at an M3 conference in Austin, and I'm sitting beside this lady and we're talking, and she starts talking about a $125,000 lawsuit that she had to pay. That was her settlement, $125,000. I said, well, you didn't know about ADA? She goes, oh yeah, I had ADA. You know where that came in? There was 3 areas. So one was on compliance. So refund compliance was there, the ADA compliance. But what wasn't is that she did not mention that her AI chatbot was not a human. That's what she got caught up in.
Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. So these are
the lawsuit was between who and her?
It was a class action lawsuit, and this portion of it for her was 125 grand. Now, I've seen this, and I've had podcasts. I've had a couple podcasts about the importance of ADA compliance, and usually what'll happen is there'll be a lawsuit. Usually, it's typically the same person. It's a blind lady from Florida, and she'll launch a lawsuit against a bunch of people, and they're usually at 50,000, and they settle at 10. And it's all the time, it's against small business owners. So, and I think within the first 6 months of this year, there were 7,600 of these lawsuits thrown out there.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's these types of things that you have to take a look at, and it's only going to be getting worse with AI. So
Totally.
we have to make sure we safeguard ourselves. You overlook what you, oh, and this is the other thing. So another thing that's so important, and you guys know this about your email and your servers, but if you don't have them properly set up with your DMARC and your DKIM, you have to have them set up properly, or somebody can go in very easily and imitate you. In 2 seconds, you can imitate a person if they can get that information. And so I don't know about you, but I've had it a long time ago, but people would come in and say, I'm impersonating you. If you don't fix this, I'll come back in a week and blah, 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 blah. And so, yeah.
Like our broadcast, like a MailChimp kind of thing, or is this a personal email?
No, this was for business. They came back in business and said that they were from their company, specialized in this. They wanted X number of dollars. If I didn't pay within a certain amount of time, they would broadcast out a message from me about all sorts of different things. And it was all, for I need $100, I need $1,000, and it would go out to my email list. So I've seen different types of this happen, but like Afalabi, I think you guys both know Afalabi. So he just got that, and I just went, we must have missed something in our DMARC. So something that costs, and if I had somebody in our WhatsApp group contact me because of this, and I said, you don't have your DMARC set up properly. Your setting, you have to go back and make sure your settings in your email are properly set. It's just not an MX record. And they said, okay, they'll go to Fiverr. And I said, okay, great. They came back and said, oh yeah, somebody's going to do it for $30. And I said, if you got somebody doing it for $30, they're not doing it. They're not doing it the way it should be set up. I guarantee you. Like, for example, for me to do it, I paid $400 per domain that I had set up to have it done properly. I got a quote from one guy for $5,000. But they monitor it for 30 days. They understand everything that's going in and out of your mail server. And again, if you're open, you're just open if you don't set it up properly.
This would be a good episode in and of itself, just security risks in today's day and age with the tools available.
Yeah, I mean, we went down a completely different rabbit hole, but just thinking about what AI can do, and Andrew, it was hilarious. But this was in October, and how things have advanced. So, I think you used 11 Labs probably to do that, right? Yep. But it was hilarious. I mean, it was my voice, and I'm listening to it going, yeah, I never said that. Yeah, you did that for Kevin King as well. Yep. He was at the event. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it's nuts. New paradigm. You guys all have to be tuned in to these kinds of chats here at Lunch with Norm to make sure you're on top of this stuff, because it is brave new world we live in now.
It definitely is. Okay, I forgot to mention this. So our Wheel of Kelsey is happening. I have no clue what we're going to give away, but we're going to be giving away something by the time you see this. So if you're interested in our giveaway today, which is going to happen just in a few minutes, I forgot to mention this earlier on, but hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, you'll get a second entry, and maybe Kelsey will add that in about 20 minutes prior to you hearing this. So we'll be doing that in just a second. So just hashtag Wheel of Kelsey, tag 2 people, and you have a chance to win today. And like Kelsey mentioned on our podcast on Friday or on Wednesday, that the prizes won't be distributed during the podcast like usual. We'll reach out to the winners. All right. So I think that's it. guys, I really appreciate you coming on. We're going to go over to the wheel of Kelsey, but just in 1 second, Chris, your contact information, Andrew, your contact information, and then we'll head over to the wheel.
Yeah. You could hit me up at hello@sophiesociety.com or just Chris Rawlings on LinkedIn. Website is sophiesociety.com.
For me, my email is andrew@titanmembers.com, and I'm pretty good at answering individuals messaging me. And then also my Instagram is a good one too. It's handle on Instagram is the Andrew Erickson. So my name with the in front.
And these guys are great. I literally 10 minutes after our podcast, we reached out to Andrew to come on. And again, guys, it was fantastic. It kind of went down a bunch of different rabbit holes, but yeah, I mean, we could do this. These are cigar conversations.
Yeah. Yes, they are. Gonna have to do it in person next time, right?
Yeah, this is fun.
Exactly. All right. So just stay tuned. We're going to come back. Kelsey, hit the sponsorship, then hit the wheel of Kelsey. Facing cash flow challenges with your e-commerce business? Discover Viably, your ultimate financial ally. From real-time sales data integrations to immediate funding access, Viably is here to support you. Plan your growth with their free tool for online sellers and engage with specialists whenever you need. Extend your cash flow with Viably. Right. Oops. Go ahead, Kels.
It's time for the Wheel of Kelsey.
There we go. So at this point, somebody has won. So congratulations.
Yeah, congrats. Oh my God.
There we go. I can't believe you won. All right, guys. So thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. And hopefully we get to talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thank you.
Loved it. Thanks, Norm. This was awesome.
All right. See you later. All right, everybody. Thank you for coming on, or thank you for listening today. This is a pre-record. We will be back next week live. So until then, we'll see you later.
Lunch with them.